Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins. Yo, dog, Katie Boucher here, The Long War. Joined tonight by my partner in crime, Wyatt Turk.
Yo, what's up?
Chillin'. Rob is home. I saw pictures of him safely back in his terrarium.
Yeah, he was rescued by our joint task force.
He's chilling. But he says he's going to take one more week off.
Fair.
And because of that, we get to do whatever we want again. So we run out of our one hobby AMA trump card that we get to use. But we do have some things to talk about. We've got like this Emperor's Children nonsense. We've got you went to a tournament recently. And now you're living your best life now. You're out there in San Diego, playing 40K nonstop. So we actually have like a little after action with Wyatt. So do you have any would you rather's or anything you want to do since it's been like 3 weeks? If you're not ready.
I saw one last time. I guess we both forgot about it. And I can't remember if I've done this one before because it is a pretty like generic one. But I saw it and I was like, we're both like in the middle of some audiobooks and we're both in the middle of some video games. And it's the like, would you rather be transported to the last like book that you read or the last video game that you played?
Definitely a book, because the last video game I played was Diablo.
It was an absolute fucking.
You do not want to be a regular hobo in Sanctuary. It real bad.
Yeah.
It real bad.
Would it be more of a discussion if you were allowed to be one of the main classes?
If I could be a chosen?
Yeah.
One of those Nephilim?
Is that what they're called? Chosen?
Nephilim. I'm currently reading, obviously, a lit RPG book. It's a... Am I the MC or just a hobo?
I mean, for the fun of it, we can say that like you're the main guy.
Me as I am now in that scenario.
Yeah, sure.
Or doesn't.
So it's like if it's a lit RPG, right? Everybody gets sent there, and then they have to figure it out. But they have at their disposal whatever the power system is or the game system. Or
yeah, I would slap at that. Like I'm caught up. You know what I mean? I would slap at that. So I think still Sanctuary is a cruel world, no rest, endless, just tedium for the main character. Like his job is never done. I think I would go into, I think it's Stone. What's it called? It's just a random one. I'm reading right now. It's pretty decent. It's called Age of Stone. So I would go live in the Age of Stone, which is contemporary, like, system apocalypse.
Gotcha.
And I would run that shit. People are like, what's mana and shit? Some skill progressions and shit. I'm like, I got this. You all work for me now.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of Reborn Apocalypse, finally back, and man, I kind of feel like they're both like their own version of extremely not tight, but I still think I would take Reborn Apocalypse over Sanctuary.
Reborn Apocalypse is rough because you have to get out of floor 1, right?
Yeah. Okay, so so it's been a long time since, because you reread the first 3 before this one. Mm-hmm. I did not. I'm just jumping right back in. Was there ever an established thing that like the previous layer like goes away, or are they just there perpetually?
They're there forever. They don't close. Some people never leave. Some people never leave the layer.
Because I feel like at a certain point, the first layer like ain't that bad.
A lot of people stayed there for. That's one of Michael's goals, is to get Prime out of the first layer.
Yeah.
Because like Prime never left the first layer. He just ruled it.
Okay.
And Sophie never left the first layer. She just ruled
I couldn't quite remember because, like in Dungeon Crawler Carl, if you don't leave the floor, the floor
floors
collapses.
collapse.
Yeah.
So what's cool about going into Reborn Apocalypse is that like Michael has fixed the first floor. So if you can just kind of live it out there until either the heroes win or don't. As long as you got through the first couple of days, and as long as you weren't a wave oneer.
Yeah.
But you do know cultivation. We know this.
Yeah.
If
if I'm on the third wave, then like I have a pretty good situation going.
Yeah, you're the third wave. You go in, you see the holy shop. You're like, cultivation, that one. We already know. We know what to pick.
Yeah.
You know what to do. Slap. So let's kick it over to the Rob Baer Memorial News Desk with Wyatt Turk.
Heck yeah. Well, we had the big GW Dallas Open last weekend. A lot of cool stuff, big previews, the majority of which are going to be about the new Age of Sigmar edition coming out. Lots of cool stuff, bunch of new models. If you're a fan of Skaven, the Skaven are back in a big way. The Stormcast Eternals are getting a bunch of sick new models. They also previewed some 40K stuff. So it looks like the Sisters of Battle are getting a new unit. It's like a Canoness on Jump Pack. Looks pretty tight. Got some options there. The GSE get a new character. He's like what are they calling this guy? The Benefictus. He's like a turbo psyker. He's got like a huge bug brain grown out of his head. And I guess he shoots like extra powerful mind bullets because they say that he's like anti-vehicle psyker. They're going to have a new battle force and all that fun stuff. Some new stuff for Necromunda. Some really cool models. Initially, I saw some new Gene Stealers and I was like, these are fucking sick. Like GSE good, but actually those Gene Stealers are only for Necromunda. Like I'll link the article in the.
So does that mean they're just too expensive to field in 40K, like at their scale?
Well, we don't know yet. I guess it depends on how hard you want to hobby, right? Or like how many of these guys come in a box. But I guess that like the story for the next season of Necromunda is they're going to be in like an old partially abandoned hive. So it's all like run down and defunct and everything. And so you have these, what are these called? They're called something. They're like a new strain of Gene Stealers. Malstrain. The Malstrain Gene Stealers. And they're all kind of like decrepit and malnourished. They have like these weird spikes growing out of them. I don't know. I linked it to you. These actually look sick. Like these are one of the only Tyranid models where I'm like, these actually looks pretty cool.
So
like,
they've been like in a derelict, abandoned hive city for a long time. They're all fucked up.
Yeah.
Pull it up.
They also have some new Van Sar dudes, and Van Sar is super cool. And some bounty hunters. So they're bringing back the
holy
really
shit.
cool
Those look sick as fuck.
Yeah, the power suits these guys wear.
These guys, these guys are fucking gangsters.
Yeah,
holy
some
shit.
really, really cool models. There's like a GSC Hive Gang. But I don't know. I was like, these are cool. Like, there are a lot of cool models. There was some.
Yeah, these Gene Stealers look wild. They're like smoking crack.
Yeah, they're crack Gene Stealers.
Yeah,
they've been on that space meth for a while.
Yeah.
Some new Horus Heresy stuff with plastic models. The Imperial Guard is getting a bunch of plastic tanks. The Mechanicum are getting a bunch of their formerly resin-only Forge World stuff in plastic, like their battle bots and whatever this crazy tractor tank thing is. So yeah, lots of cool new model previews. Pretty neato.
Sick models, like absolutely fucking bangers.
Yeah, the Spirers is what they're called. They got that new gang, their power suits and stuff. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, Emperor's Children Index. A lot of people are upset by this. It's pretty lame. So I feel empathy for our Emperor Children fans. Because basically it's just like they took Lucius out of the Codex, they took Noise Marines out of the Codex, and then people were kind of like, oh, maybe we'll get like the World Leaders treatment where we get like a little index rule while we wait for our Codex. Like, no, they don't. It's just like, if you want to play Emperor's Children, Lucius has to be your warlord. Everybody has to be Mark Slanesh, but you still use all of the new CSM detachments and everything else. It's just like, for some reason, you're not in the Codex.
I look at it from a different perspective. To me, it's like they're getting a Codex, so they're not in the Space Marine Codex. But for all the little fucking Emperor's Children fanboys out there who actually have a Lucius and some Noise Marines, they're saying, don't worry, you can still put those guys on the table. They're not illegal. They do exist. Here's a little piece of paper that says you can have them still. Because imagine if you painted like 1,500 point army and 700 points of it's Noise Marines and Lucius, and they don't exist. So they're like, they do exist. Go nuts. You're going to get a fucking real ass Codex soon. Don't worry. So I look at it more as like, shout out to those hobos who actually have Lucius and Noise Marines.
Right. So objectively, if we're looking at this from that point of view, pretty tight. You can still play your stuff. I think the expectation when Games Workshop was like index, like you're going to get Emperor's Children, like outside of this Codex, you're going to be able to play with your Emperor's Children. You're going to have like index. The expectation from the fan base was, oh, we're going to get like a little attachment rule. We can have Emperor's Children army, just like they did when they did that for the World Leaders back when. And so when this comes out, it's like you get no new rules. They were kind of like, well, that's not cool.
It's a letdown if you built up an expectation based on previous frames of reference and precedent.
Yeah.
Which,
we had the results from the Dallas Open. A huge tournament, 234 players. We had the top bracket, which is a pretty...
What event is this?
The GW...
Dallas Open. This is the actual real ass GW, like, road. They used to call them road shows. Now it's just the GW US.
The US Opens, yeah.
Tight. So so what's the standings there? That's impressive.
Pretty diverse top 10. Pretty neat. So Tyranids ended up taking it down. The Unending Swarm, billion models. Second place was Thousand Suns. Third place was Orcs playing Bully Boys. The final game was Tyranids versus Bully Boys, but I guess the way that their secondary and tertiary placing metrics ended up working out, instead of being second place, he dropped to third. Fourth place, Thousand Suns. And then Guard, then Grey Knights, then Dark Eldar, then regular Eldar, then Dark Angels, Iron Storm, and then Votan.
It's pretty wild. Actually, yeah, that's pretty. So the US Opens, these are Nova style pod base.
Yes.
Like, because that's, obviously, but so, and they run like a Renaissance Man thing as well, I imagine, and things like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, the cool thing is like the GW Opens for the average tournament goer, a lot of really nice end user experience stuff. Like you get your really cool swag stuff. You get the freebie handouts for going. If you're not hyper competitive, you can play the seeding rounds and then get put into a pod, and then you play your basically like a little RTT with other people that were in the same bracket as you. So that those games feel very fair. There's activities, you get the previews, all that kind of fun stuff. If you are the type of person that is trying to battle it out to win the tournament, there is some jank to their system, which can make that very frustrating. So pros and cons, but it's all based around what your desire for that event is. So for me, like, I think of them as a tournament to go for like having a great time rather than try to like really learn the system, learn the missions, play to the format, and try to like work your way up the brackets and win a tournament. Because there's too many things about that system that are outside of your control as a player that it's kind of just like whims of the fates. But as far as a tournament goes, solid tournament, lots of fun, great end user experience.
Who were the winners?
The names are not listed, only the top 10 factions.
Oh, really? Huh. So we'd have to go to social media to figure it out.
Yeah, you'd have to like go into the see if I can find it on BCP.
Sam Pope won.
Sam Pope. Oh, there we go. So congrats to Sam Pope with his Tyranids, billion model Tyranids, unending swarm.
It's pretty awesome. So, and you said there was like almost 300 people there?
234.
Okay. Almost 250. Fuck yeah, man. What a sick top 10. That's not, I mean, that's how it's been, like, you know, for most of 10th edition after the first couple of hot fixes, you know, with Eldar and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of the trend. That's awesome. So, I guess we have, I'm going to make an announcement. So, before we take a commercial break and talk about Wyatt's games, so I'm going to be moving my Saturday stream schedule on Twitch to anyone who listens to this podcast. So I've been doing back-to-back Friday and Saturday for years, right? Like 8 years. So I'm going to be dropping the Saturday and moving it to Monday. So it'll be Monday, Tuesday instead of Friday, Saturday. It's been 8 years of not being able to go to Rogue Trader tournaments unless I don't stream, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to just work more during the week and be able to like do the hobby again on the weekends is kind of the plan.
That's cool. I was actually talking to the guys earlier, and they were like, "Why doesn't Kenny go to more tournaments, dude? He should go to more tournaments." And I was like, "Well, he's got this system. He's got to work on the, you know."
Yeah,
so that's cool to hear, man. I hope
have
you
to make money,
more tournaments.
and I just built it that way years ago, and so now I'm like, it made sense when I did it, and now I'm like, no, I'm fucking done with this. Like, so also I'm officially canceling our tactics discussion and my webinar on YouTube after talking with Rob, talking with Arthur, looking at 7 years of taxes. They're like, you need to stop doing this. This is a lot of time for no return. And that's the world we live in now. So ever since 2019 and now is I got to get more efficient with my class slots, my education platform and stuff like that. So basically, we'll be podcasting on Wednesdays, but I won't be doing the tactics, won't be doing the webinars. And I've got a questionnaire or like an advice format on Patreon right now, asking for some ideas from our patrons and how we can mix it up and create more value in our content in a way that is not just throwing darts, you know, in the dark, you know, like, because that's what it's been. Because as much as it's been fun doing our tax discussions, we do our tactics discussion for 4 people. Like maybe 10 total, but like rotating. While that's dope and I love those people and they're all friends of mine, they're also right here now in this podcast.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's, you know, that's a whole setup, right? And so I don't take classes on Wednesday because of this. The same thing for my webinar. I've got like 7 hardcores, right? 6 of them are right here. So I'm looking for advice. Anybody who wants to DM me on Instagram, reach out to me as a free member on Patreon. Give me some ideas. Got a post up there for it. Thank you in advance for that. So let's do a quick commercial break and then let's break it down.
For the best game aids and peripheral tools for wargaming, check out our friend J15games.com. From moon counters and dials to faction rule trackers, these are the coolest tools out there. Designed to be functional and intuitive, these tools help you stay organized and speed up your game. Their flagship product, the Nesting, Movement, and Combat tool, is absolutely amazing. A magnetized measuring widget that splits into 3 different size tools for every situation. And you can get it in 8 different colors. J15 also offers custom ordered dice trays made from hardwood and leather. Check them out at j15games.com. That's j15games.com.
baronofdice.com, the official dice sponsor of the Long War podcast. Use promo code LongWar5 for 5% off. If you're looking for a superior dice manufacturer, then look no further than Baron of Dice. Custom artwork, faction representation, and crisp razor edge square dice. Remember to use promo code LongWar5. Again, that's baronofdice.com, the official dice sponsor of this podcast. And we're back. Wyatt, I heard you're living your best life in San Diego and just slamming that D all up and around San Diego area.
I wouldn't say that, but
Did I phrase that poorly?
I mean, I'm still getting my groove back from having not played competitively in about 2 years. So we're getting there, getting a lot of games in. Being able to have Warhammer Night every week again has been great. Having the like one night a week, you go out, be social with the boys. It's great. I was actually going to go to the GW Open Dallas, but was not able to for some reasons, had to cancel last minute. But the cool thing was that weekend we had the monthly San Diego RTT. So I was able to go to that, and that was a lot of fun. And that was the first tournament bringing the Ultramarines back out in the Firestorm detachment, and ended up going undefeated.
Congratulations. That's a good feeling.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was hoping I could get first. It was a points thing.
It's very difficult to actually win first in a 3-round Road Trader tournament, even if you win all your games. There's a little luck.
Yeah. The last mission was actually quite difficult. So the last mission paired with the faction opponent made it a very low scoring game for both of us. And so that was what ended up doing is I had like a hundo and then a like 68 just because of the
luck of the matchup.
Yeah.
So, but it's RTTs are practice for GTs. That's
exactly. And at the end of the month, I'm going to,
and it feels good to go undefeated in that crowd too. Like this, the SoCal.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, like we had, I want to say it at least, so it's like me, Daniel Spito, Rainey, at least 6, probably like 7 or 8 of the XPZ guys playing in that tournament. And then we had like another handful of guys from another local team that are, you know, they're also very competitive, really good at the game. So it's like, that's the kind of the thing about like, if you play 40K in like the San Diego area, Orange County area, LA area, it's always like a Shark Tank.
Yeah. SoCal is a fucking, that's the scene for most things competitively for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
It's just volume, dude. It's just math. There's so many people out there interested in the hobby. Now, that doesn't mean you can't like have insanely hardcore metas all over the country. We had one in Miami back in the day, and it was like just 10 guys, but we can go to any tournament in the country and fucking win. So the most important thing is repetition, practice, good sparring partners, right? Because most people haven't done the same thing in a row for 30 days. I think that's like actually a study. Like 90% of people haven't committed to doing the thing in a row for 30 days. So if you do that, like you get your sparring matches in, you practice, you do that, you're already in the elite category. And that's what these groups in these areas offer. So if you're trying to get better at 40K, it's not rocket science. You got to find a group, play.
Yeah.
And now with Tabletop Simulator, with all of its problems and jankiness, it's still vastly superior to not playing.
Yeah, it's a great practice tool for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Got to take it with a grain of salt, but it's a great practice tool.
Oh, so that's awesome. So walk me through the games. I want to hear about them. So also, what were you playing? You said you were playing your
Ultramarines playing the Firestorm detachment, and that's one of the lesser played Space Marine detachments, but it's kind of cool. So the detachment rule for Firestorm is that everything in your army is assault weapons.
Oh, it's like your Red Corsairs.
right? And then the second half is if you're within 12 inches of your target, all of your shooting attacks are +1 strength.
Oh, so it's very similar to the Red Corsairs.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to see a lot of similarities. So most of the stratagems are built around popping out of transports, doing stuff, or hopping into transports.
Who is the Firestorm, the spiritual detachment of? Like what faction?
The salamanders.
So, okay, so the Salamanders fight kind of like Red Corsairs.
Sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So the Red Corsairs, their whole thing is like they're pirates. So they're going to go to a place and they're going to steal your shit.
But what's effective at being a pirate is similarly effective for Salamanders not being pirates.
So where they are like attack objectives to steal shit, the big combos with Firestorm are about like torrent weapons. So again, the Salamanders doing their flamey stuff, which is cool.
Getting close, which oftentimes is objectives.
Yeah.
It's very similar. Yeah.
So they have a stratagem for +1 to wound, but it's got to be a target within 6 inches. Closest eligible target within 6 inches, but +1 to wound. Great stratagem. You can use in the shooting phase or the fight phase.
If I know Wyatt, he's got some aggressors.
Oh yeah. They have a +1 to hit for people that hopped out of a transport. Also pretty tight. They have a stratagem for hopping into a transport at the end of the fight phase. You can't be in engagement range, and you can't have hopped out of a transport the same turn, like the same player turn. But I did find a way around that, which is pretty cool. We'll get to that. They have a stratagem for reactively disembarking from a transport if the transport was shot at. So it's like if you shoot at my Land Raider, the unit inside can pop out and shoot back at you. And they have the big damage stratagem is immolation protocols, and it gives torrent weapons devastating wounds.
Oh, that's the Redeemer tech.
Well, and also the aggressor tech.
No, I mean, obviously, that's what I remember people talking about. Yeah, obviously, we've established you have like 6 aggressors in one unit with Marnius Cocker.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and so playing Ultramarines, so I'm contractually obligated to take Marnius Calgar in every game. But in this edition, Marnius is a Giga Chad, so that's cool. He gives a unit fallback, shoot and charge, advance and charge.
What a fucking Chad.
Yeah, dude, he's a gangster. So he's got his 6 attacks, punch in the world, and then he's got his 2 homies. And each one of the Victory Guard has 5 attacks with 2 damage power.
And their bodyguard and the unit with everyone else?
Yeah. So then you take Uriel Ventress. Uriel Ventress is a slightly better Space Marine captain. He slaps, and he gives any one infantry unit in your army the ability to deep strike. Super useful. So I use that.
I wonder what unit you're putting it on.
So in point of fact, the aggressor Marnius Calgar unit in the almost 30 games I've played with it so far is like actually really hard to utilize if you deep strike it.
Because a lot of his rules are command phase.
No, it's just like it's a big chunky unit. They're all on 40 millimeter bases.
Oh, people are never going to let you go where you want.
And it's like, oh, the guys with a billion twin linked flamer shots are going to want to do immolation protocols, so they're immediately scared of it. Sometimes you can get it done. You can rapid ingress them, or you can deep strike them. But in a lot of games, I've actually ended up having to start them on the board.
Yep, I can see that.
I also have a Judiciary. I know the Judiciary attack has kind of fallen out of favor, but
is he still a fights first situation?
He is. The unit he attaches to fights first, which is useful. Just objectively, it's a great rule. And the Firestorm attachment has an enhancement called Champion of Humanity, and whoever has it, their unit ignores any and all modifiers.
That's good.
Which is just a great rule. Like if you have -1 to hit, don't care. -1 to wound, don't care. -1 damage, cut damage in half, like don't care.
Yeah,
it's a great rule. And so he's with a unit of Blade Guard veterans. Blade Guard veterans slap. They're super tanky. Love them. I got the double Space Marine Redeemers.
How do you deploy them? Do you put them in like a impulsor or something like that, or they just
put them? It all depends. There's a lot of modularity with this list, given the 3 transports. So I've got 2 Land Raiders and a repulsor. And I also have the ability to deep strike a unit with Uriel. So what goes where is
changing.
very
It's
modular.
fluid. Yeah.
Yeah. If I feel that the aggressors really need to be delivered for immolation protocols, I may not even attach Marnies. Because if they're in a land raider with assault ramp, they don't really need advance and charge because their whole thing is to jump out of land raider and burn stuff. And then Marnius can just deep strike on his own with Uriel's ability, and he's like his own little like Chad unit, you know. The repulsor is actually pretty cool. So I was using the impulsor cute trick of having eliminators with las fusils in there, so it can like advance, they hop out, they shoot, they hop back in, then the vehicle shoots with open top. But it was just not working all that great. Like sometimes it would work, a lot of times it would not work. Even with a shield dome, if you look at an impulsor the wrong way, it just dies.
Yeah.
So it's like I decided to take that out, and the repulsor is another T12 transport. It can hold a bunch of dudes. It's got some pretty good shooting. And its ability is actually pretty neat because it gets around the stratagem restriction of hopping back into a vehicle. So the cool thing is, if you shoot at the repulsor, the unit inside can hop out and shoot using the stratagem. And then if you try to charge that unit, I can use the repulsor's datasheet ability to hop back into the repulsor. Because there's no like stipulation on the repulsor ability of like, can't do it if you already disembark. It's just if you're charged, you can hop back into the repulsor.
Yeah, that's like its whole thing. Is there a rule in transport section of the main rules that says you can't do that?
I don't believe so.
Like, is there like a universal rule that says you cannot embark the same turn you disembark?
We could look it up. It hasn't come up. So I don't know. Maybe
in editions past, that had been a rule.
Maybe I'm a filthy cheater, but I mean, I can look it up just to double check. I've talked about it enough that
no one's corrected us on it.
Yeah, nobody's corrected me on it. So I'm wondering, transport.
I mean, it's like, it's a bunch of ability based stuff. I would imagine it supersedes anything that says that. So the whole idea of abilities is that they're kind of cheat codes, you know?
So it's embarked units and reserves. We try disembark.
Not trying to shit in your cereal.
Transports. It's in the same phase, so it still works.
Still works,
because
baby.
One is in the shooting phase. One is in the
charge phase.
Charge phase.
Right. So, who was your first opponent?
First opponent was Adam Funk. Shout out to Adam, a local guy, super fun to play. He plays Sisters of Battle. Ended up winning that game 100-83, playing the Ritual. That's the one where you spawn the objectives and stuff. And that's a deadly matchup. Like, you got to respect Sisters of Battle because they bring a ton of units. They have some spicy stuff. Every time you kill a unit, they get miracle die. So there is this sort of like sweeping comeback mechanic where like the more stuff you kill, the more of these dice.
The more automatic things they can do later.
Yeah. So that one was a pretty tight fight. That one, if I remember correctly, I went first, but all I did was just kind of like stage because Sisters is one of those units or one of those armies where they have like the Melta tanks and they have the battle tanks and they have stuff within stuff that can get out and shoot a bunch of Meltas. So I was just going to like stage everything. So I staged the Redeemers, staged the aggressors, and then I had the Blade Guard and a Judiciary and one Redeemer, and I just pushed that super hard into the middle, and those dudes hopped out and charged a unit. He had the Triumph of Saint Catherine, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that thing needs to die like immediately. I need to get all of these blade guards stuck into stuff like as much as possible. And so that was like turn one, killed that unit, and then had the blade guard stuck in, and they tanked a lot of shooting because they're all like kind of sitting in a building. That's where the fight was taking place. So you've got those guys with cover and a storm shield. And so it took him like a solid 4 turns to kill all of the blade guard eventually. And by that time, it's like, here's the second Redeemer, here's the Eradicators hopping out of that, here's the unit with Marnius and the aggressors. And for the most part, the repulsor like didn't do a whole lot except just plink shots long range. But I did have Uriel and company heroes in there, and they're kind of a weird, wacky unit that's hard to deal with because each one of those company heroes has 4 wounds. So like, unless you have precision, Uriel is just sitting there with like 16 ablative wounds and a company champion.
That's so hardcore. So it's so Space Marine. I love it. So pulling out against sisters, which is always tricky. Round 2.
Round 2, I played a teammate, Daniel. Daniel Redhouse is one of our great players. He's playing his Grey Knights, and credit to where it's due, I have played him in his Grey Knights a number of times, and he has beat my ass every time. My army is very slow, even with the transports. It's not an extremely fast army. And the thing is, like, you can't screen Grey Knights. Like, it's impossible. The only thing that can actually do it is infiltrators, and even then, they can just sit at 12 inches and still blast you. Like, they can just hop all over the board and do all their shit. But I have played him so many times that I've like downloaded the Grey Knights matchup, and I know what to respect, what to be safe from, and like. One of the big things for just everybody who plays Grey Knights is they have a stratagem where if you start or end a move within 9 inches of a unit, they can spend a CP and it just leaves. Yeah. But if you hop out of a transport within that 9, it doesn't count. You can't do that. So disembarking from a transport does not activate that. Any reactive moves in general, not just Grey Knights. So I have learned that, okay, push the Land Raider to 9 inches, stop, can't do his stratagem, pile out the nerds, and then I go to business.
Then you lay the D.
Right. One of the big swings was early game. I killed a Nemesis Dread Knight. So Redeemer moves up, Eradicators pile out, kills that thing. And he had Rapid Ingress, his Grandmaster Dread Knight, behind him. And so I shot the repulsor and its Hunter Slayer missile at that guy, plinked some wounds. Then when I fired at the other one, I shot the missile from the Redeemer at the Grandmaster Grey Knight. Got it to like half health.
Oh shit, it's good rolls.
Right. And then he goes to move, and I'm like, Overwatch, and killed that bitch on Overwatch.
You fucked up. The Redeemer.
Like the crack cocaine feeling of killing both of those dudes in one turn. That was like, wow.
Forgot the Redeemer was here. This is its whole thing.
Still had to respect him. Like the max unit of purifiers with Castel and Crow is actually like insane. And it can drop down and just shoot the ever loving piss out of you. But I played that same matchup like so
all
many times.
Your practice,
I got it.
Now on the actual tournament day.
And I got a hundo on that one as well.
Congratulations.
And then in round 3, I ended up playing. I'm sorry, I forgot his last name, but his name is Max. A super cool dude. Same team as Adam Funk, and he was playing World Eaters, and he was playing no Lord of Skulls, no Angron World Eaters.
Horde.
Yep, he had 2 max units of Exalted 8-bound. He had a max unit of Terminators, World Eater Terminators, which actually have some cool tech to them. Couple of Forge Fiends, couple of Mauler Fiends.
Oh wow, this is wild.
It's a cool list, like no doubt, because at that point, like he had also been
2-0
undefeated.
Yeah, he's slapping. Right? He's laying it down.
And we get supply drop. That was the mission, and that's the one where objectives go away. and we were playing long ways. So all three of the objectives in the middle of the board. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be a hard fight. And I play World Eaters, so the number one unit you have to respect if Angron is not on the table is Exalted 8-Bound, because they will kill whatever they touch.
They can literally, people don't realize how good they are.
They move crazy fast. They will kill whatever they touch. So I'm just sitting here like, I literally cannot push until those guys are dead.
You have to, which is, if that's an advantage that World Eaters have, if they're being played well, is they can kind of command the center early, because of this. And if you come in, they have the advantage. So you have to make sure when you come in right.
Yeah, and so it's like, if I'm doing anything, it has to be targeting those guys. Everything else, I don't care about. Like, if I have to receive the Terminator charge and eat that, that is not going to be as bad as the Exalted 8-Bound. And so first turn, it's like, okay, put some wounds on, pick up a Forge Fiend with shooting, and put a Redeemer into the Exalted 8-Bound. Kill a couple of those guys. And it's like, okay, here it comes. And the hop out of the transport thing is one of those stratagems where I'm like, I'm going to tell you about this at the start of the game. Try to remember it, because it is it's a reactive stratagem, and sometimes those can be feels bads. But if you shoot this thing, I can hop out. And a lot of times what I've been doing with that is I've actually been using it for the Redeemer with the Blade Guard veterans inside. So you shoot the Redeemer, Blade Guard veterans pile out and bubble wrap.
So now you have a screen.
And they have fights first.
So if they move the fucking 8-Bound up, and they just took a pop shot, just thinking he was being smart. Now
he shot at it with the Forge Fiend.
Yeah.
And so those dudes pile out, and
now he has to charge guys who can fight first who slap.
Yes. And so that was like a big scrum. Was like he charged in with the Terminator, charged in with the Exalted 8-Bound, but I picked up those Exalted 8-Bound with the fights first. And then it's like, okay, you're going to try to put some wounds on the Land Reader, and you're going to try to put some wounds on the vets. And he killed a couple of vets, got the Land Raider to about half health. And then the next turn, it's like, well, sitting behind a building is Marnius and the Chonkos. And so then they walk in.
Hi.
And
see you later.
It was an ongoing combat for another turn. So like the Land Raider ended up dying, but then eventually all those Terminators died. And on the other side of the board, the Redeemer with Eradicators was able to pick up the other unit of 8-Bound before they were able to get into a charge. And so from that point, it was just like, all right, just.
But you guys burned 4 turns in this amazing engagement.
Right. And then also the double-bladed sword of tactical objectives was that for like turns 1 and 2, I got like doo-doo dog water cards. Like I just like could not score. So it was like kill stuff on objective. Turn 1, nothing sitting on an objective that I can interact with, so I can't score that. And I was like, all right, I'll hold on to it. And then in turn 2, I was hoping that I could kill the cultists and the Terminators sitting in the middle in the big scrum. And I just wasn't able to kill those units down to the man in the big ongoing combat. And so again, I didn't score that. So I ended up discarding it, and it was finally able to get some cards. But again, it's like it's a 66-28 game. And
you needed 100.
Yeah, I needed to start scoring. So just like the mission with that matchup where it's like, if I get first turn and I'm like, touch all the objectives and don't have an answer for those Exalted 8-Bound, like they'll kill both my Redeemers immediately. And then I'm like, all the infantry is just piled into stuff. I don't get bonuses. Like, so it's all, you have to respect those units.
Congratulations. Some big brain plays. I fucking love it, dude. Congrats on going 3-0. Thank you for the after action West Coast coverage as we follow Wyatt on his journey of dominance in the San Diego area. Who's next for you? Like, where are you going after this?
So that was practice for the War Games for Warriors GT up in Salt Lake City, June 1st. I don't know if there's still spots open or not. maybe there's spots open, but it's a cool tournament. Our Utah guys were telling us about it. It's like a charity tournament. So to buy a ticket, you don't buy a ticket, you make a donation to a like veterans charity fund. And they're actually holding the tournament on the National Guard base in Salt Lake City. And I'm pretty sure Mario is part of, maybe he's not part of Lightly Salted, or maybe he is, but like the Lightly Salted guys up in Salt Lake City are super great. They put on tournaments up there. Mario is a great TO. So it's going to be a fun time.
Amazing. Well, we covered all the topics we set out to cover tonight. I think we're amazing at this. We're so good at this. We don't need
Just like it's our job.
All right. Well, without Rob here, I'm kicking over to you to take us out of here.
For more of our content, head over to thelongwar.net. Become a member of the Long War today.